Welcome to the Our Team Podcast, powered by eXp Realty. Are you an agent looking to level up? Are you someone looking to buy or sell real estate? Fantastic. This is the show for you.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Our Team Podcast.
Talk through it. I think
Yes.
everyone who gets handed a microphone needs to be told that, right? Like, you don't talk over the top of it or across the side of it, or like, you don't talk over the top of a microphone. You talk into a microphone.
That's right. And
Yeah.
actually, if you really want to, like if you do a lot of public speaking, you learn to take a mic and just barely touch it to your chin. That way when you're talking and you're just addressing the crowd, it's nice and close to your mouth and you're not ever going to turn away from the mic.
Oh.
You keep it just right there.
Interesting.
Yeah. Unless you have a lot of makeup on your chin, then you don't want to do that.
Yeah, I've done a lot of public speaking, but I don't know I've done a lot of it with a microphone.
Yeah. Well, the best thing is to have a lapel.
I really-
Unless then, if you have a lapel mic and then you go into the bathroom and you forget to turn it off, that's, that can be weird.
Gosh, I think I saw one clip of like a wedding where like the best man was mic'd up and he was being inappropriate. So I think another one would be the wedding party.
Yes, that would be good too. The wedding party, if you're mic'd up, you need to be aware if it's on or off because you're...
Yeah, so if you're micing up a wedding party, that's an at your own risk.
That's right.
Yeah.
Were you around when I was doing all the Along the Road to Temecula Valley restaurant videos and all that kind of stuff?
No, I missed that.
Well, we're still doing them, but fewer, It is so funny because I would have wireless mics on people that I would interview.
Oh, wow.
And I would just have it on. I would just run the whole time and I would sync up the audio later. And the stuff people talk about. Because they have no idea. They think they're only being recorded when they're in front of the camera, but it's just rolling.
No. Oh gosh, no. My favorite, anytime we're doing any kind of social media or behind the scenes, like I keep talking for the outtakes. Like that's where
because you're aware of it.
That's where the gold is. Yeah, it's all that behind the scenes stuff that
Exactly.
really keeps the energy up too.
Yeah. Well, this is not just my podcast. This is your podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the podcast, our podcast.
Our podcast, yes. What a great way to reintroduce you to the whole world. I mean, the very first podcast that we did in this location was with you in Scripps.
Was I the first one?
You were the first. Well, you weren't the first one, but here you were.
Oh, how exciting!
Yeah, and it was
in our corner, in our podcast corner.
Yeah, we changed. We kind of morph with our needs here. So
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, not a lot of people don't do multi-camera podcasts, but we find that more people are watching the podcasts than they are just listening to it. Mm-hmm. So we have cameras there and cameras over there, and it's just more of a it works out better.
I love running a podcast in the background, especially like during the workday, just
Absolutely.
to have a little background noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it's somebody that's always just giving really good content. It doesn't always have to be a home run. Sometimes a podcast is just a base hit.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's the thing about content. They're not all winners, but it's all about the consistency.
Yeah, and that's a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today is...
They're not all No,
that
consistency.
they're not all winners.
That's what I say
Yeah.
with my jokes sometimes because I'm always trying out new jokes because I can't help it. And sometimes they're just there on the tip of my tongue and I'm like, oh, this is mildly inappropriate. It might not go right, but let's just try it anyways.
As it's coming out, you're like, this is not going to land well, but you still do it.
It's like I'm watching it. It's like
Yeah.
I'm watching, the
Yeah.
target not hit,
Yeah.
but and that's where I have it in my pocket. Well, they're not all winners.
That's right. You can always come back with that.
Just to save. Yeah.
I try to be so funny sometimes, and it only 1 out of 10 land. But it's worth it to try.
And that's how you know you really like somebody is how much they really like you. Like if somebody laughs at my jokes, I'm like, okay, you are someone I can vibe with. But if they don't laugh at my bad jokes.
What if you're hanging out with somebody that has a really good fake laugh?
I don't know anyone who has a good fake laugh.
I don't know. Mine's pretty good.
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't.
Okay. I'm not good.
Okay.
I do know that when I start to laugh, if I get there, it's impossible to get me out of it. I mean, I have to just let it run its course because when something really hits my funny bone,
Yeah.
it's profound.
Well, I'm not going for a fake laugh on anyone. I want that unexpected laugh.
Yeah.
I want to hit you in that spot where
Yeah.
you didn't expect it was going to come from.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the goal.
So since we're talking about social media and we're talking about, getting your message out there and being consistent with it, things like that, which is what we're going to be talking about or are talking about, is humor a big part of that?
Yep. Educate, entertain, inspire. Those are 3 of the 5. Educate, entertain, inspire.
And then those other 2.
Yeah, and then those other 2.
Yeah.
There's 5.
That's very cool. So do you find yourself, as you've been ramping up and doing more and more social media content, do you find yourself following a formula?
I am getting more into a system the more consistent I do it, because you just remember the little steps that you want to take, right? Like adding the captions, adding a hashtag, adding a certain thing. So, I mean, it does, it takes practice over time to build your system, definitely.
Yeah, I can see that. Consistency is it is the key to all of it, especially we're talking algorithmically, right? Mm-hmm. I think I ended up saying that word correctly.
Algorithmically?
Yeah.
Rhythmically. Well, you were a musician. You are a musician.
I know how to say
that's
those.
You could TM that word.
I think that not only is it important for the algorithm of Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media platforms your favorite, consistency and just having that hit is very important, but also just so that you're putting so much content out there that when somebody goes to your page and actually consumes the content that's stored there or that is memorialized there on your page, they can see, wow, okay, all right, this person's really doing the thing.
Well, I have a theory that, between TikTok and Instagram, like it really reads your energy. It can really feel your energy.
Definitely.
I really think with like the front camera, just everything we've seen with dating apps, algorithms, the way they store your information, log your information. Yeah. I genuinely believe the front camera is watching my pupils and watching those micro changes and expressions in my eyes, whether you think you are or not, those terms and conditions that they're re-updating every year that nobody ever reads. Yeah. It's recording every keystroke, every time you open the app, how long you're in the app, what you're clicking in. Like, look up anything on the dating apps will totally freak you out just related to anything else. You take the activity that they use on those and they like know when you're feeling lonely. And so they'll like send you a message or send you a reminder or something. And like, yeah, so I don't even mess around with those anymore because they're just like scary.
I'm going to take your word for the dating app thing because my wife would be very upset.
Yeah, you didn't even have to take my word for it. I bet you were already there. So I'm sure. But yeah, it's just interesting and it's crazy to think like how these apps like track and store your information and like, if I want something but I can't find it, I just tell my phone like, send me those slippers that I'm looking for. I want indoor, outdoor slippers. Give me the fuzzy ones and I'll spend $60 or more. And then I give it a couple days and I wait for it to show up and lo and behold, it shows up.
It shows up.
I mean, it's just like when I worked in the restaurant. Anytime I needed a restaurant manager, I just took my cell phone out and held it up because like that's the fastest way to find a manager is bring out your cell phone. They'll find you.
Yeah. Wow. Good point.
Right?
It's weird how things have changed so much.
Law of attraction has always been the same though.
If I want to find something and I want to do a comparison, I'm ready to hire someone. Like a virtual assistant or something like that, right? I will actually start to search for a few of them just start clicking on them. And then I just watch my feed and all the ads that come in because now, obviously, my information is out there. My IP address is saying this person's looking for a VA. So I know what's coming. I know how it works. And then I just start clicking on them. And that's how I got all the different VAs. And I think that definitely happens when people are searching for homes.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're looking for stuff, and all of a sudden they're seeing all of this content about real estate and home shopping and lending and all that stuff. So on the one hand, it's kind of scary and weird.
Yeah.
But if you learn how to control it and to use it to your advantage, it can be a wonderful tool, right?
Exactly.
So how are you leveraging this wonderful tool?
So the consistency, right? Like it's about progress, not perfection. And that's the hardest part to get over.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's the progress, not perfection. And it's just authentically putting out content that feels good to you to put out. And I think that's the most important thing is like when you start putting out the content, like, oh, I've got to get the numbers, I've got to get this, like the algorithm reads your energy and it's like, oh, you're craving fame. You're craving this for the wrong reasons. Like you have to like genuinely, authentically be empathetically, vulnerably putting yourself out there with like an unconditional love of information without wanting anything in return. Like that's, I think the sweet spot is like when you're sharing content, you're sharing information, because it's giving you pure joy to share this information. Because you know it's going to help somebody. You know it's going to entertain someone. You know it's going to make someone feel good. You know it's going to inspire somebody.
Yeah, I love that.
And so I think like when you're creating content, and I think that's when it comes into like a creative block, like a creator's block, right? Where I feel like I just went through that, where when I'm not feeling impassioned, when I'm feeling like I have to go through the motions, that's when it's the hardest. And I also think that's when it's the most important. Because that's when you're building the muscle. Right? Like going to the gym. Like the discipline is in the small practices that you don't want to do every day.
Yeah. Good points. You know, we were talking a couple of weeks ago about how the D.I.S.C test has really changed the way you're doing your posting. And just quickly, the D.I.S.C test kind of helps determine what your personality type is. Right?
Yeah. So the D.I.S.C test is a personality-based test, which will break people down, personality types, into basically 4 different personality quadrants. And every person is a combination of all 4. It's just a percentage of how you lean in which direction.
Exactly.
So you have your D, your I, your S, your C. And each personality type responds to a different type of communication. And you can put out your content in a way, again, progress, not perfection. The first post isn't going to have all 4. The first post is probably going to appeal to your personality type. And then you'll learn how to speak to your second dominant personality type. And so you know, then your second post is speaking to 2 personality types. So by your 7th, 8th, 9th post, you've learned that you can get the D, the driver's attention, by going, listen up, right? And then, you know, I've got something for you. You know, you can get the I's personality by being really excited and like showing something really cool, and like maybe being, you know, a lot of motion and activity in your excitement in your post. And then you can have like an S, a stable type person, you know, just by something familiar, add something familiar that would make them feel very safe in the choice of what you're advertising. And then you have your C's, or your analyticals. And so you want to give like a fact, right? Something that's very hard, black and white fact.
Graphs and charts and stuff like that.
Exactly. Something that makes that person go, oh, okay, this is like black and white. I can see it. Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm very much an I, and I have a lot of D. Very little S, very little C.
So your D's want to get their information quickly. Your I's want to get their information with entertainment. Your S's want to get their information in a safe way. And your C's want to get factual, accurate information.
And because I'm very little C, I can't stand when I see charts and graphs, and I just can't stand it.
I did not know how to read real estate statistics until I became a real estate agent, because it was just numbers, and I looked at it, and
yet you had no interest in it, right?
It was ugly.
Exactly.
It was ugly. It made no sense.
So, but what I'm hearing you say is that if you understand the 4 personality types, then you can build your content around making sure you're hitting each one of those personality types. So your posts aren't just going to be, well, I have to be true to myself, so since I'm an I, everything has to be ultra expressive, ultra storytelling. You actually have to...
That physically makes me nauseous when I'm like, well, this is how I am, so I'm just like that. It's like, okay.
Right. You can't.
Oh, God.
If you're in sales, look, at the core of real estate...
That's just how I am.
It's sales. If you want to succeed, you have to learn to be malleable, right? And it doesn't mean being fake. I was just talking to Garrett about this today. You have to learn to be a little bit of a chameleon for the situation. The Bible talks about being all things to all men. Paul said that, right? So it's like, it doesn't mean be fake if this isn't you. You have to sort of learn someone's personality, kind of find out where they're at and hit them. Well, when you're doing social media posts, you don't know everyone that's watching, so you just have to make sure you're firing on all 4 cylinders. Right?
Well, it's kind of funny. Like, you know, you got to be fake, but not fake, but like a chameleon. I've noticed I've watched 2 of my favorite movies in the last month, actually, and I noticed a common theme in the 2 of them. And the first one was Breakfast at Tiffany's, Audrey Hepburn, which I prefer the book over the movie all day long, better ending. And The Color of Money with Tom Cruise, the pool hustler, right? And Paul Newman.
I have not seen that. Oh. But if it's with Tom Cruise, my wife is going to want to see that.
Well, it starts with The Hustler with Paul Newman, and then the follow-up is The Color of Money, or The Love of Money with... Color of Money, Love of Money? I don't know. But Money Won is better than Money Earned. That's the quote. But in both of those movies, so in Breakfast at Tiffany's, the guy's talking about Audrey Hepburn. He goes, "So what do you think of her, kid? You know, what do you think? She's a phony?" And the kid's like, "I don't know what you mean." He's like, "She's a phony, but she's a real phony. She believes what she says. She's a phony, but she's a real phony."
Right.
And then you're in The Color of Money, and Paul Newman's telling Tom Cruise, like, "You're a phony," or Vincent is the character. He's like, "You're a phony, but you're a real phony. People try hard to be the kind of phony that you are." And it's kind of funny because it's like, you know, these both movies, you know, older movies, and it's just such a term of the phrase or a phrase of the times, but to be a phony, like which would be such an offensive term, but it was interesting how in both contexts they were using it in a flattering way.
Right.
Right? And
funny.
in both contexts, I guess they're both kind of hustlers. Audrey Hepburn's kind of a hustler in that movie.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is kind of a hustler in that movie. Kind of a hustler when you're in sales. I think being a hustler is one of the best compliments I've ever received recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're a phony, but you're a real phony, you know?
Yeah, I think you can always tap into we talked a lot about our core values a couple weeks ago. No matter what, no matter who your audience is, and you're changing up your message and your style, you're still using your core values, your core beliefs. You know, you're still being you, you know?
Yeah. You're being the best version of yourself. You're mirroring the other person so that you can be the most attractive version of yourself for them.
Yeah. You know, this is my normal everyday voice. You hear me talk every day. I don't do anything different on the podcast or, you know, on the YouTube, you know, productions or anything. This is the real me. But you know what? If I'm talking to a little teeny child that's just learning how to talk, I might change the way I talk to them, right? Like, "Hey, do you want to go? Let's get, this is really cute."
That's so nice of you.
You know what I'm saying?
You do that for kids? I don't do that for kids.
I do. I don't talk baby talk. I can't stand that. But I will change my tone and my personality. If I'm talking to a cute little puppy, you know, whatever I'm petting, "Hey, can I pet your dog?"
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" You know, you figure out the room, and you go with it.
Yeah.
It's not being fake.
No. And that's why I loved it. Like, I was like kind of laughing. I'm like, wait, did he just kind of say that like a compliment?
Yeah.
Like the tone of voice, the way he presented it, like, "You're a phony, but she's a real phony. Like, she believes what she says." And he really had a lot of admiration for her in the way he was saying it. And, you know, he would say that about 999 people and not mean it as a compliment. But that's how, you know, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Audrey Hepburn,
That's
Holly
cool.
Golightly.
Well, I appreciate you being able to like put all that together and use that as an example of, you know, kind of.
Well, it's just kind of funny, you know, because you're out in sales sometimes and you kind of feel like a phony. Like, some days you're kind of like, "What the heck did I just say?"
Yeah.
But, you know, at the end of it, like, I know my heart's in the context of the right.
Yeah.
I don't know, erase all this, whatever. No. But
we're not erasing any of this. We have at least 3 or 4 minutes before that camera right there turns off.
Oh, great. Okay.
What else, you know, like a nugget or something that you can give whoever's listening to this, just the encouragement of being out there and doing it. For the person that says, "I don't like social media. I still want to sell real estate, but I don't like social media. I don't like the camera. I just want to do it. I don't want to do any of it." What do you say to them?
I don't care. Get uncomfortable. No, that's awesome. I mean, you know, get uncomfortable. Stay uncomfortable. The best thing you can do is get comfortable being uncomfortable. I find myself putting myself in really uncomfortable situations going, "Oh my God, why am I doing this?" And then I hear myself going, "Because you love being uncomfortable. Because you want to push yourself to new limits. Because you want to see what you can do next." You know, like, why did I sign up for stand-up comedy? Why did I sign up to host my high school reunion? Why do I do these things?
To be uncomfortable.
To be uncomfortable.
It's the muscle. So it's working that muscle.
It really is. Like, to the point where being comfortable feels uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I love that. Oh, we can end right there.
Great.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions for Steph Winter.
No S.
A phenomenal agent. Incredible with scripts.
Pretty much loves to talk to anybody about anything.
She loves to talk, so she's a high I. Sometimes she gets into the D world.
Oh my gosh, I posted a picture of a reel of my book shelf this morning or today, and I'm looking at all my books, and I'm just like, so blessed to be a woman in America in 2023 and to be allowed to have my very own bookshelf with all of those books. When you think about
No, it's true.
Historically, over
yeah.
time, even currently around the world, like there's
Yep.
women that don't get to go to school. So the fact
Yeah.
that I get to live in my own home, have my own bookshelves, and a collection of anything I want to read
Yeah.
is amazing. And then I'm looking at the books, and the fact that a lot of that information is in my head is slightly terrifying.
Yeah.
Kind of
Wow.
scary.
But good.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here, and we will catch you on the next one.
Woo!
Hey, wait, before you go, would you do us a favor? If you found any value in this content, would you please like and subscribe to it? Maybe even leave a comment. It really helps us out.